Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're back with another video. So my last video, was it my last one or the one before that? I don't know. One of my videos in the past, I was talking about top 5, I think it was, best cars you can buy for a certain thing. And the video didn't do well. None of my videos do well anymore because I don't play Blitz, because apparently that's why everyone subs to my channel. Today we're talking about something different. We're discussing a brand. A brand that, as the title says, the brand that time forgot. Exedos. Now, what's an Exedos? Well, that's what this. We're literally going to explain it. So, by the way, my internet is dodgy. So if there's cuts in like the video, it's probably because the internet died. Then I paused it. Then, like when the internet came back, I started again. If that makes sense. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So what is Exedos? Well, you can read that blurb if you want to. Alright, this is just me blurbing. But Exedos was like Mazda's attempt at their own like luxury slash premium brand throughout the 90s. Like when the 90s was a thing, Japan had a big economic boom in the late 80s and 90s, and it meant a lot of other car companies decided that they had a lot of car companies had a lot more money in their pockets. So companies like Toyota, Honda, Nissan, they all decided, hey, well, now we have this money, we can spend it. Plus, the US had just legislated a bunch of rules against Japan's importing of cars to America. They said, oh, you can only bring a certain number. So they all thought, well, if since we have all this more money and they've put this import thing on, import restriction on us, why don't we create new car companies that focus more on luxury cars? Then we can import those to America and they can make up for the money we've lost with our normal cars. So yeah, that's how Lexus came about, that's how Acura came about, and that's how Infiniti came about. And they're all still alive today, obviously. They're very big brands. Lexus is known around the world. Acura is American and Japan, but that's kind of it, really. And Infiniti is sort of worldwide, but not really. Not even called Pitbull, so... So you can read that blurb. That kind of is a bit more refined version of what I've just said. Yeah, so I don't know if I've given you enough time to read it, but you can always pause the video and read it if you want, so... Yeah. Next slide. So the Exedos, we've explained what Exedos was, so it's their Mazda's luxury brand. So what's the range? Well, this is the first one. It's the Exedos 6. Place in the lineup, well, it's like a BMW 3 Series kind of competitor. And of course, it's the entry level because there's only 2 models. So it's the entry level to the Exedos range because there's only 2 models. So engine choices, well, there was only 2 from the research that I've done and the information I found. There was a 24 valve V6 with 144 horsepower, which is not too bad, but it's not too bad. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then a 16 valve inline 4 with 106 horsepower, which must have been so slow. Like even in the 90s, that's pretty bad. And then, little fun fact: in 1994, Mazda renewed the Exedos 6 engines because of ecological standards. There we go, cracked it. And also because 106 horsepower for like 4 cylinders of it. Shit. So there you go, yeah. I like this picture as well. I found this picture on the internet. It's a nice picture for a car company that no one remembers or talks about. Nice little plains, the grass, and the colour of those cars. The cars don't even look that bad. People say they look ugly. I think they look alright. It's just you never see them. Alright, next car. Well, this is the last car of the range, but this is the one that's more well known out of the 2, and this is the rarest one. This is the Exedos 9, so this is like a 5 Series rival, though I like to think of it more as like a 7 Series, but hey ho. And this is the flagship of both the Exedos range, because there's only 2, and the whole of Mazda at the time, so this is very swanky. And engine choices, they're all V6s, because obviously V6 is like an executive luxury. No V8s or V12s here, sadly, though. You got a 2-litre V6, you got a 2.5-litre V6, and then you got the rarest and the coolest engine out of all these. This was the 2.3-litre Miller Cycle V6, which is supercharged. If you can find one of those for sale near you and it's cheap, I would recommend looking into it because they are very cool and they make supercharger noises. I watched a car throttle video, shout out to you lot guys. They had £2,000, and this is in the UK, £2,000 to spend on a car, and they found one, they bought it, and it is a wicked, that's why I'm making this video, because I watched the video and thought, you know, I wanted to talk about a rare car brand, this is a good opportunity. And then so anyway, yeah, back to this, and then there's a big old blurb. So the Exedos 9 was known in many names in different markets. So, like, in Europe, it was called the Exydos 9. Well, Britain isn't part of Europe anymore, but we don't go into Brexit. Well, in Japan and Australia and New Zealand, because, it was the UNOS 800. I've tried finding them in New Zealand. They don't exist. And for America, it was called the Millennia. I don't know. I can't speak. However, in the Japanese, Australian markets, Maya markets, where I live, it was changed to the Millennia in later after the discontinuing of the UNOS brand in 1997 because the UNOS brand Mazda had too many brands and they didn't have a big enough budget to support all of them, so they canned UNOS. So there you go. I think this is the best out of the two, and it's the one I'd look the most for if I was considering trying to find one for sale. I think it looks the best as well. Right, Exydos. So this is a very little known fact. They went racing. So with not with the 9, that would have been hilarious. They went with the 6. So in an attempt to boost sales, this is there's also the blurb. You can read this if you want to. Basically, to an attempt to cast some light on the brand, Mazda or Exydos thought, why don't we take the 6 racing? Right? They didn't just take it like racing in any race. They took it to BTCC, which is the British Touring Car Championship. Yeah, and look at this. I mean, there's a white one. I know there's a white one and there's a pink one. The pink one is a newly restored one. The white pitch one, I believe, is a picture from back in the day, but I could be wrong on that one. And apparently these cars did quite well. Apparently it shocked everyone because it was like, these are actually really good cars. But they did pull out in 1997 because like I said, this was the same year when they canned UNOS brand. Mazda's bank account was shrinking and they had lots of stuff that they couldn't all support, so they had to cut off expensive ventures, and one of them was this. So short-lived but cool racing career. There isn't much online about it. I tried to find more specific details, but there isn't. You can go and try and find some for yourself if you feel like it after watching this video. And yeah, maybe correct me on some of the things I've said. Alright, next slide. So this is the big question. Ignore the notification. Why isn't Exydos around today? Well, basically, Mazda wasn't fast enough. So the economic boom happened. Stop sending Instagram, sorry. The economic boom happened in the late 80s and early 90s, and all the other the manufacturers managed to create their luxury brands. But in Japan and all around the world, and especially in America. But the problem with Exydos is by the time they'd come out with Exydos, they were already Lexus, Acura and Infiniti. If you were in the market for a luxury executive sort of nice car, and there was you just buy, you just go and buy one of those, and they weren't executive enough. Apparently, they were cool. Like people thought they were good cars, but they weren't like good enough to justify buying one over a Lexus or an Infiniti or an Acura. So yeah, and Mazda made some small attempts like the racing program, and also in 1998 they refreshed the styling of both cars to try and. But those cars were kind of uglier than the originals. Then they look good, but not look good. And then yeah, in 2000, after all these attempts, Mazda closed the Exydos brand down completely. They ceased all production of both the 6 and the 9. Some were still registered. Some you could find registered as 2003s or 4s. But they ceased production in 2000 completely. Like, it's all gone. So, yeah. There you go. Exydos. Only didn't even last a decade. It's kind of sad because these cars are cool. Like, if you can find one, they are cool. They're unique and they're a bit weird and they're strange. And that's what makes them ironically cool. Will they go up in value in the future? No, of course they won't. These things will plummet in value, I reckon. The only one that might go up in value is the Exydos 9 with the 2.3 litre supercharged engine, because that is a bit quirky. That's the only one I could possibly see. If you can find a low mileage, good condition one, I could possibly see like a Mazda enthusiast paying quite a lot of money for one. In that sense that the cars only really appeal to Mazda. I'm not a Mazda enthusiast. I just watched a video about it and thought, why not inform you guys? And there aren't enough videos on the internet about this stuff. So here you go. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Yeah. Big shame they're not around. I'd like to know what would happen if they were now around today. Like, how big would the brand have gotten? Would they have been... If Mazda had acted quicker, would we have, had a Lexus Mazda, like a Mazda's equivalent of Lexus? It would have been odd with all these brands and models and stuff. It's ironic because Mazda's starting to go up market. Their cars are getting very expensive. I know in New Zealand the new CX-60 and CX-90 top models are both $90,000, which is ridiculous for a Mazda, but that's it's a lot of money. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Remember, actually, I'm not going to remind you to click like and subscribe. That's just cringe. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.